Welcome to Ida's video channel. In this video, I'll show you how to design bulk water pipeline horizontal alignment. I have very similar data like I had for creating pipe network from a polar line, and I will design the horizontal alignment. Let me create horizontal alignment. Go either to alignments, create alignment by layout, or if you prefer ribbon, go to ribbon home, alignment, alignment creation tools. Both commands do the same. And then under the name, you can specify the name. I will call it bulk water. As a type, the centerline is most of the times used for the roads. It is not an offset alignment. It is not a curb return. It is not a rail. So the only other option is miscellaneous, which is probably the best option for the bulk water pipelines. There's option to specify the site, alignment name. As the alignment name, I will use a pipe network, but any name would work. And I don't want to display any labels, so it's a little bit lighter, but if you prefer, you can display labels. There's also an option to specify design criteria, but for the bulk water pipelines, we don't care about it. And there's an option to change the starting station, but that can be done anytime later. Let me click OK. And this is the Alignment Layout Tools toolbar that can be used to create an alignment. There are a few options. One of the easiest options is either to use a tangent, no curve, or tangent with curves. If you know that there will be a lot of horizontal curves, it's better to use the curves as a default. But if you don't have that many curves, just use no curves. If you go to curve and spiral settings, this is a place where you can specify the default curve radius. And if you want any transition curves, you can specify them here. But again, this is more for road and railway design. There's also an option to use like entities such as fixed line and fixed, floating or free curve, but we don't need to use those other options. Let me start with a tangent, no curve. I will zoom in a location where I want to start. So I want to start from here, and let me switch off the snapping, and I will design the horizontal alignment. So I will go around this corner. I will do it very roughly, and then I adjust the PIs to make sure I'm happy with the layout. So I will go around like this, and then let me go up, and wherever I feel I want the horizontal curve, I will add horizontal curve. Then let me end it somewhere here. I go away from the road, and this is the end point. Let me close this. I will unload the XREF so it's a little bit lighter. Let me go to unload, and let me zoom in, and I will modify the PIs to make sure I'm more or less in the middle of the road. So for example, here I don't like it much, so I need to probably do something like this. And then again here I need to probably do something like that. And this PI should be, PI means point of intersection. Then let me zoom out, and this one should probably go slightly here, and the rest is good. Now, if I want to add the curves, I can do that. I select the alignment, right click, and I go to Edit Alignment Geometry. So it reopens the Alignment Layout Tools toolbar for that specific alignment. And under the curves, there's an option to add free curve fillet between two entities and radius. And I follow command line. It says select first entity. So I select first entity, then it says select next entity. I select next entity. Then is curve solution angle less than 180? Yes, it is, because more than 180 is used for off ramps. Then I can specify the radius. 50 meters sounds good. And what's nice with the alignments is that I can grab, or I can select the alignment, and I can use the grip points to adjust the alignments accordingly. I can either grab the start or end, or I can grab the middle. So you can see that it's a bit easier to work with the alignments than with the polar lines. And let me do the next one. I will do the same procedure. So I will specify, I will select start, and then I specify less than 180, radius 50, and I'm done. And again, if I'm not happy with the radius, I can increase the value. And let me add one more here. Then I select start. Again, continue in a chainage direction. That's very important. and I will just did it in a little bit different way, but the curve is here and I can adjust it accordingly. Another curve should be here, but I will leave it for now as it is. And I can now modify the curves in such a way that I can specify the exact value. To make it a little bit lighter again, I'll unload the map. So let me go map off. And as I mentioned, to specify the curve radius as an exact value, I have options to either go to Subentity Editor, or I can go to Panorama Window or Alignment Grid View. And here, if I select the curve, you can see it highlights in plan, and I can override a value. So I can use a 70 meters rounded value. And the next one, let's say I want to use 160 meters. And last one, I want to use a 90 meters. So you can adjust the values as you wish. There's also some option to lock the parameters if you wish to, the constraints and all that, but that's not needed for now. Let me close this window and then let me show you how to add PI, remove PI. If you want to add PI, point of intersection, you can simply use a second icon from the left hand side, and then you can specify where you want those PIs, and that's it. And if you want to remove them, you can use a third icon from the left hand side, and you can just click close to the PI and then it removes that PI. So it's a very easy workflow. And then what if I want to remove the curve? There's an option to click on remove or delete subentity. So let me do that. I will delete subentity and then I will go back. Autodesk suggests that when you modify the alignment, you should use those back and forth icons. But if you use a standard one as well, it will work. But for whatever reason, they say this is preferred option. So I remove the curve and then I undo to bring the curve back. Let me extend the alignment, but before I do that, I will display alignment chainage labels. So select the alignment, right click and go to edit alignment labels. Then at the bottom right corner, there is an import label set, and that's the easiest option to import the label set. And there are various label sets, and one of them says major on center line in meters, which might be quite suitable. There is an option to specify the increment for the values along the alignment. 20 meters sounds good for now. And if I click OK, so this is the result. So I see the change values. And the reason why I decided to display them is because if I want to extend alignment, I need to make sure that I snap to the end of the existing alignment. If I don't do that, the alignment will not be connected. Let me show you. So I go to tangent, no curve, and I will not snap properly, and I continue. So if I select those two new entities, you see it highlights the alignment, but it doesn't show the change values on those new entities. The reason why, because it's not connected. I need to make sure that it is connected, and always draw those new entities in a chainage direction. That's very important. And if you don't want to use those entities, you can always delete sub-entities and problem solved. So if I want to do the same exercise at the beginning, I can do that, but again, I will draw tangents, let's say with curves, but I design in a chainage direction, and then I come to this point and I make sure I snap. And if I snap, looks like nothing changed, but you can see there are values all the way through to the beginning of the alignment. But as you can see, there's a value minus 68. How can I fix it? Just select alignment, go to alignment properties, and then under the station control, you can specify that specific point. If you get a warning, just click OK. You want this point to be 0 station. Click OK. And as soon as you do that, it updates and the chainage goes all the way through. Let me undo because I don't want those changes in the alignment. So I will undo a few times and I get to this point. And let me select alignment and let's go to alignment properties. And under the information tab, this is a place where you can change the alignment name. Under the object style, you can change the style which you want to use. I will keep it pipe network. Under the station control, we already we're here to modify the start station. There's also an option to mask the alignment between the specific values. There's also an option to specify how the point of intersection should be treated. Most of the time we use by change in alignment direction. And finally, there's a constraint editing if you do some changes. Under the information tab, this is where you have a tab. So if I change the tab to centerline, it will display design criteria, which is applicable more for the road. So that's why we keep it as a miscellaneous. Okay, so this is the alignment properties, and let me add alignment labels. We added alignment chainage labels, but alignments do have also other labels. Add alignment labels, add alignment labels. If you want to use a ribbon, go to ribbon, annotate, add labels, alignment, and use very first option, because all other options are using the default values and often you don't know what are the default values. So let me click on the very first option. Now we have a various label types, and one of them is station offset fixed point. And let me use that option, and I will use a chainage YX in meters and as a marker style standard add, and then I will edit it to alignment. You can specify the offset and chainage. And then let me add the station offset only, and I will use the same label, chainage XY, add, then I specify location, and I will position it in here on the other side. And I want to show you the difference. The one is at a fixed point, the other one is not. And you can see the other one moves with the alignment. So let me undo to revert those changes. So those were alignment labels. There are some other labels which are used more for, let's say, setting out data tables and all that. So for now, this is sufficient. And finally, I would close this window. I would like to display a circle if there is a point of intersection. This is perfect. I can see where the point of intersection is, but some people, they prefer to make it a little bit more visible. To do that is very simple. Select alignment, right click, and go to edit alignment style. Then go to markers, and there's a point of intersection. Click on this icon on the right hand side, and in the drop down menu there is an alignment PI point marker, point of intersection point marker. Then click OK, and the circle will appear at a PI point. That's just if you want to make it a little bit more visible.